This is an absolute lifesaver, benefits everyone. In this video, I will share with you how I journal through my 8 years of doing my PhD part-time so that it actually served me and was useful in dealing with the stress and anxiety that goes with doing a PhD. First up, why even bother with journaling when you already have enough to do with a PhD? Journaling can help you organize your thoughts, create the space that you need mentally to have creative thoughts. It can also help you track your progress, and when things go wrong, it's a great place to clear your thoughts and get all those angry emotions out instead of on your supervisor or on your family. Benefits everyone. So basically, it's like free therapy that you can do by yourself at any time, any place, and it only costs you a few minutes a day. For me personally, journaling was really a safety net for really the crunch times of my thesis writing. I was busy squeezing in my writing while being a new parent, working full time, and just trying to survive. Having a systematic and lightweight approach to journaling really meant that I could do it consistently and that it was really there to serve me and not me serving journaling for the sake of journaling. My personal experience of doing a part-time PhD was that you have a consistent and very high mental load that you're dealing with all the time, because if you're not thinking about your PhD, you have to deal with life. And life is already lots going on. The other problem is that a PhD, especially a part-time PhD, never gives you a break. So there's no such thing as a true holiday, because you're always feeling like you need to work on your PhD, or you could be working on your PhD, and therefore the ability to relax is, I personally found, really difficult. So one of the things that was really a game changer for me in my PhD journey was creating some space between my identity as a PhD candidate and me as an individual. And I did this through my journaling practice. So I had really beautiful moleskin books or journals for my personal journaling. And then I had really like functional, dirty, quick and rough journals for my PhD writing or journaling. And having these two different sets of books really allowed me to keep my private identity safe from my PhD identity. In these research journals, what I did was I kept track of decisions that I made for my PhD. Also kept some of my emotions here that were strictly related to my PhD in here. So if I had a really bad day where an analysis didn't come out the way I wanted to, or if I got bad feedback on a journal article or something like that, then those thoughts would go into this one. But another great part of these books was that I also noted my successes down. So when I got that good feedback, or I finally submitted and published a journal, then this would be a big milestone that I would write down here, because it is so important to note down the small wins as you're going along, because no one else is going to note them down for you. So you got to do it by yourself to make sure that you have that positive reinforcement that you are winning, that you are making progress. And in my personal journals, I adopted an approach that I saw by Dr. Huberman, 5 reflection points that you can do, and they've been scientifically shown to improve your mental health. And that's what the approach that I took in here. And because I never remember any of them ever, I'm just going to read them off for you here. So point 1 is gratitude. So you just basically list down some points of gratitude that you have. I try generally to aim for 5. And I think what's also great is when you can be grateful for the negative things in life. When you don't succeed the first time and then you have to rework that one chapter and at the end it comes out better, then you can be grateful for that. And I found that being grateful for these negative things really changed my mindset towards overcoming obstacles rather than being hindered by the obstacle. The second point is just to write down what is your plan for the day. Work, study, relax, whatever. Short and sweet. The third one is noting down any fears or resentments that you have, and during your PhD you will have many of these. This third point was really useful for me because by just being aware of what my fears are or my resentments are, it was then better to deal with them, and then also better to handle them when I noticed them coming up while I was busy writing or working on my PhD. The fourth point is then things to watch out for. So for me, I understood this as what are the mistakes that I'm consistently making. For example, is my communication maybe something that I can improve? And the last point, 5, is things to strive for. So these can also be goals or things that you want to be or do in the future. And for me, this is also where the goal of relaxation came in, because being stressed and under so much pressure all the time is clearly not good for anyone. This point was really reminding myself that in the end, I want to be able to relax. And if I can relax, then I can be more productive and more efficient with my work. These days, I didn't have time to do elaborate answers to these. These were basically just jotting down points quickly before I started working on my PhD or before I started working in my full-time job. But if I did have extra time, then I would try and write down what are the challenges that I'm currently facing, or what are the things that I've maybe done particularly well in, or milestones that I've reached. I would also write these down then afterwards. And I definitely tried to be consistent with my journaling, but there were often many days and sometimes even many weeks where I just didn't do it. But I don't think that this is a problem, because when I really felt like journaling, I needed the journaling. So I didn't really need an accountability partner or anything like that. If you're thinking about journaling and you don't know where to start, it's really, really simple and you don't need to overthink it. So like I said before, the PhD research journals, I took really any old book, didn't have to be pretty or fancy. It was basically just somewhere where I could scribble notes down. And I basically threw these away as soon as I was sure that I didn't need any of them anymore. But be sure that before you throw them away, otherwise you might have many regrets. And that's why I still have some of these. And if you want to have nicer journals for your personal thoughts, because you maybe want to try and writing more neatly, or you want to keep them for longer, then definitely invest in some moleskins or some pretty journals for your private thoughts. What's also really useful is where to store these journals. So when I had my own shared office space for my PhD writing, this was in that space, and it was also really nice to have this PhD journal at the office and not at home, creating even more separation between PhD identity and my own personal identity. And when I was working on my PhD, I would have this literally open to the page, lying next to me, so that when I had a thought or when I had ideas or when I needed to sketch something else, I could immediately do it straight away without any disruption in my thought to paper. Also, what's really useful about a research journal is that if you forgot why you did something or how you did something, you can then go look it up. And this is an absolute lifesaver when you need to know this and you just cannot remember it for the life of you. Personal journal, I love to keep on my desk at home. I also work from home, so this is quite easy to do, having a personal document lying on your desk. This I basically try to do either in the morning before I start working or in my lunch break. And it literally just takes me 5 minutes because I don't invest more time than that on this. It's amazing how to look back and you realize how much you've achieved. Any tool will work. So if you don't have kids or if you like digital, then of course use whatever tool is available online for you, because I think it's also easier to store and manage. And you don't also land up with a whole bunch of hard copy journals that maybe you don't know where to store in your life. Once you have decided on a tool, then just write down the 5 points. I will add them in the description so you can just copy paste them. And I really made a conscious decision of not trying to memorize them, because that's the extra mental load that you just don't need in your life. Just write them down in your journal, and then every day I just look at the previous day and copy down the headings before answering the questions. And really, when you're starting out, just write a simple statement, a simple answer to each of the questions, and then move on. And you'll soon find some days you want to spend more time on certain points, and other days you just want to go quickly through them all and be done with it. Main thing is to find what works for you and what is serving your mental space on that particular day. And once you've got this basic structure in place, then you can of course add prompts. You can add prompts such as, what is a challenge that I face today that I overcome? Or what is the next milestone that I have to aim for? So when I thought about how my journaling practice has evolved over the year, the first one is, of course, is making it a habit. So even though I said that I'm not rigid about journaling, I do it so that it serves me. I definitely have a habit of doing it at certain times and trying to keep it at least a few times a week, just to keep the juices going. While I was in my early days of journaling, I used to write lots and lots of things down. And now with full-time working, PhD and family, I really keep it simple. So really just the notes, the 5 points, and then fill them out and then done, because often you just don't have the mental capacity to do more. This is also great because you actually want to save your writing energy for your thesis or your dissertation and not for your private journal. And by keeping it short, it's not this huge task to do in the morning. You just do it quickly and then it's done. It's a lightweight win. The other thing I would probably recommend, which is maybe not what other people recommend, is to keep it private. So I see a lot of advice going that you should have an accountability partner and things like that, but actually I find that it puts a lot of pressure on something that should be really just serving yourself, and no one needs to know how often I'm doing it or if I'm doing it successfully or not. So just for you. If you want to know what the 5 points are again, I will put them in the description so you can copy paste them onto your digital journal if you have one, or write them down if you want. And all the best with your PhD or your studies, and hopefully see you in the next one. If you like this video, you might like to check out this video here, where I talk about why it's so hard to finish a PhD part-time. Thanks very much and have a beautiful day.